Hello everyone, you have come to Tata Comic Preview channel. Let read together. Have fun. This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only. Little Yuan stepped forward. She said, "Master. Don't scold me, please. I've worked hard." She did not say how many leaves she had before she summoned her avatar. The familiar sound of energy resonance rang in the air. Above her palm, an exquisite and delicate miniature avatar appeared. Everyone shifted their gaze to the avatar's feet. There was a golden lotus, which meant that she had not severed it yet. She had 5 leaves. Everyone was slightly speechless. She was worried she would be berated. If that was the case, then everyone would be beaten to a pulp. These 5 leaves seemed to stab at everyone else's hearts. It hurt. Little Yuan looked up at her master and waited for his verdict. Zhou stroked his beard and glanced at her. He asked, "You're not going to sever your lotus?" "It hurts." The others were speechless. Most cultivators would cite low cultivation base, low talent, or fear of death as their reason for not severing their lotuses. However, Little Yuan said she was afraid of pain. At this moment, Mingxirin said, "Ninth senior sister, I can make it painless." After you summon your avatar, I'll knock you out. Then, I'll strike and sever your lotus before your avatar vanishes." Mingxirin gestured animatedly as he spoke, making slashing motions with his hands. That way, you won't feel any pain. Upon hearing this, Little Yuan quickly took a step back and hid behind Conk. Then, she shook her head and said, "No. Ninth junior sister, trust me. There won't be a problem." When Zhou saw the little girl was scared out of her wits, he said, "Enough." Mingxirin shut up immediately. Zhou stroked his beard and said, 5 leaf. That's an amazing speed. Work on getting to the 8-leaf stage for now. It's not too late to sever your lotus when you're at the 8-leaf stage. Upon hearing Zhou's words, a shocking thought appeared in Little Yuan's mind. She considered never attempting the 8-leaf stage. Although her 4th senior brother was annoying as a person, his earlier words made perfect sense to her. Even if she did not sever her lotus, her cultivation base was still sufficient to impress others. With that, Little Yuan's appraisal ended. Then, everyone turned to look at the final disciple, the 10th and recently recruited disciple. All of them looked forward to her appraisal. In the Evil Sky Pavilion, everyone knew that she had directly entered the Mystic Enlightening Realm and progressed into the Sense Condensing Realm in 3 months. Now that 5 months had passed, they wondered if she had any new breakthrough. "Conk, did you manage to form an avatar?" Zhou asked. In the book of basic cultivation he gave her, there were detailed instructions on forming an avatar. A cultivator could form an avatar after entering the Mystic Enlightening Realm. Conk nodded and said, "I did." The others were not surprised. It was impossible for a talented cultivator to not be able to form an avatar. Even those with much lesser talent only needed several tries to form their avatars. "Show it to me." Just mentioning one's realm was not convincing enough. It would only be convincing if one showed one's avatar. Conk lifted her hand and summoned her avatar. Her primal chi surged and exuded the aura of the 5 energies universe. Following that, a little golden avatar appeared. For cultivators, it was second nature for them to discern the grade of an avatar with a single look. When they saw the little golden avatar, they exclaimed in shock, 5 energies universe? The corresponding realm for the 5 energies universe was the Brahman Sea realm. There were 8 thresholds in the Brahman Sea realm. Every connected meridian vessel meant that one threshold had been surpassed. The 5 energies universe avatar meant that Conk had connected, at least, 5 meridian vessels. Whether it was the female cultivators from the derived Moon Palace, Pan Zhong, Zhou Jifeng, all of them were shocked speechless when they saw this sight. Little Yuan's talent was already beyond their comprehension, but now there was Conk who had entered the Brahman Sea realm and connected 5 meridian vessels in just 5 months. What would the genius cultivators in the major sects, who spent decades to enter the divine court realm, think? Zhou Jifeng prided himself on being a genius. In the beginning, he was of the opinion that he was completely qualified to be a disciple of the evil sky pavilion. He was the first disciple of the heavenly sword sect and had some accomplishments in the sword path. Those who entered the nascent divinity realm at his age were considered excellent. He remembered Lu Zhou once said that he had visited the Jiang family and was interested in recruiting him since he had good foundations. However, now, he felt he was no better than a pile of shit. Lu Zhou was inwardly shocked as well. Kong's speed of improvement was quite impressive. Even with his 1,000 years worth of experience, he had never seen anyone with a speed like hers. He walked over and stood in front of Kong before he said in a low voice, "Show me your hand." Kong seemed to have expected this. She made a sound of assent and extended her hand after rolling up her sleeves. Lu Zhou placed 2 fingers on her arm. A moment later, he withdrew his hand. Kong asked, "Master Ham, I all right?" Brahman Sea Realm and 8 connected meridians. The eastern pavilion was as silent as a graveyard. What was a genius? There was a saying in the chapter called "Study Hard" in an ancient book that said a genius was an outstanding person. Perhaps, what Kong had was not talent but some quality that surpassed the capacities of their understanding. Just as Ming Shirin had said, she was just awakening. This meant that she had already knowledge of everything but perhaps, she had forgotten it. Now, she was awakening her hidden knowledge and ability. When Lu Zhou thought about it, something stirred in his heart. The more he understood Kong, the more he was convinced of that theory. After all, it was impossible for someone to be gifted in tune or directly enter the mystic enlightening realm as soon as they were born. If they did not have knowledge at all, how could they string notes into tunes? In the end, Lu Zhou said, "You mustn't be too proud of yourself or rush things. Keep up the good work." "Thank you, Master." Kong nodded happily. "Congratulations, little junior sister." The others congratulated her as well. Lu Zhou's disciples had truly improved a lot over the past 5 months. Lu Zhou looked at the sky as Lu Ji's words suddenly appeared in his mind. If the 9-leaf stage could truly cause a great disaster, how was the cultivation world supposed to withstand it? Where was the mysterious 9-leaf cultivator inside the red coffin now? He rode on the coffin and came here 300 years ago from the northern borders. He traveled through the lands of the other tribes, stayed in Great Yen, and left the sword, high void, the runes, and the coffin behind. If that person was truly a 9-leaf cultivator, could he still be alive since he had the lifespan of a 9-leaf elite? "Kong, bring the Lantian jade flute," Lu Zhou suddenly said as he turned to look at Kong. "Oh. Play the tune that you're most familiar with." Kong nodded and brought the jade flute to her lips. The melody began to fill the hall. Nobody knew what Lu Zhou's intention was. They only looked at him curiously. However, as they listened to the melody, they shifted their gazes outside the eastern pavilion. "Concentrate. Move the notes with your qi." Playing the flute required the performer to blow into it. For mortals, that was all they did, but cultivators could use their primal qi to move the notes. Kong circulated her primal qi. As it passed through the Lantian jade flute, the sound changed. It became clearer and more melodious. The range increased several-fold as well. The birds in the forest took flight. "Nay. It's Ji Liang." At the midpoint of the mountain, the horse, Ji Liang, took flight and circled around the clouds. It seemed to be responding to the jolly tune. The other beasts are too afraid to appear with Ji Liang around. Lu Zhou saw Ji Liang as well. He was still clueless as to what ability Ji Liang might possess as of now. At the moment, its only advantage, compared to ordinary horses, was the ability to fly. He no longer paid any attention to Ji Liang. Instead, he kept his eyes on Kong. She seemed to have mastered the technique quickly. Condense your qi into energy. Only when the note is formed can the energy seal materialize. For ordinary cultivators, their primal qi would be condensed into energy once it left their bodies. However, for a music cultivator, another layer of conversion that involved sound was needed. Through the combination of their primal chi, sound, and energy seal, their attacks were known as the killing melody. Conk nodded when she heard Lu Zhou's words. She attempted to merge her chi with sound before turning them into energy. Conk focused her attention. Everyone looked at her, hoping she would successfully condense her energy. The flute's song sounded agitated now, no longer in harmony like it was earlier. The others thought Conk was going to fail when they heard a buzz in the air. Soon enough, energy seals appeared in the air. Conk had successfully converted her primal chi into energy. "That's amazing, little junior sister," Mingxirin said as he looked at the energy seals in the air. Sound, or music in this instance, was different from the Confucian, Buddhist, and Taoist sections. There were no special runes, script seals, and formation veins. Hence, the shape of the energy seal formed by sound was like the wind. If the rhythm was slow, it would be like the seed of the willow tree. If it was fast, it would become a storm. Everyone else exclaimed in shock. They were amazed by Conk's extraordinary talent and ability to understand things. She managed to improve just by exploring on her own every day. Under their master's guidance, she had easily and quickly converted her chi into energy. The energy flowing in the air spread into the surroundings like seeds of a willow. Although it was fast, it was not very effective as wind blades. Nevertheless, it was shocking enough that she could pull this off. "Just kill me, please. I'm impressed. I think Miss Tenth is the most talented one in the Evil Sky Pavilion." Even little Yuan, who had been acknowledged as being highly talented, was shocked when she witnessed this. However, she did not seem jealous. On the contrary, she clapped her hands in delight and said, "Keep up the good work, little junior sister. You can do it." Conk was clearly motivated by little Yuan's encouragement. Not only did she continue trying, but she increased the input of primal chi as well. She was in the Brahman Sea realm with 5 connected meridian vessels. When her primal chi surged, it seemed as though 8 screens were erected around her. Her melody rose to a higher pitch and sounded more rapid. Whoosh. 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 The others were shocked. They immediately activated their protective energies and blocked the energy sounds from their surroundings. Bam. 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 Everyone else was shocked. Lu Zhou was the only one who frowned. This was because he was the only one who caught a glimpse of red energy among the surging energy. In other words, what Conk condensed was red energy. Red energy was rare in the cultivation world. It was commonly perceived that the color of one's energy would only change when one cultivated certain arcane arts or if there was some mutation in one's cultivation method. For example, Fiend Zen made energy seals turn black, barriers made from air were blue, and healing powers from nature were green. Apart from these colors, no other colors were heard of in Great Yan's cultivation world. This was Lu Zhou's first time seeing red energy. He placed his hand on the Lantian jade flute and pressed on it lightly. Stop. The music stopped abruptly. Before the energy could take its full form, Lu Zhou did not want too many people to know about the existence of red energy. The Eastern Pavilion fell silent. Ji Liang returned to the forests of Golden Court Mountain and vanished from sight. "Master?" Conk looked up. The others wanted to see how much potential Conk had. The sudden interruption left them puzzled. Why was Conk's appraisal suddenly interrupted? Lu Zhou said, "Let's call it a day. Nobody is to breathe a word about Conk to anyone. If anyone goes against this order, I won't forgive them." The others immediately realized the gravity of the situation. They bowed immediately. "Yes, Pavilion Master. Yes, Master." What did a genius fear the most? It was being killed in the cradle before their wings had fully sprouted. As expected of the Pavilion Master. They were impressed by his foresight. Naturally, they were unaware that Lu Zhou only did that because he did not want anyone to know about Conk's red energy. Now that the appraisal ended, everyone left. Lu Zhou returned to the Eastern Pavilion and thought about Conk. At dusk. Lu Zhou looked at High Void and felt slightly troubled. The person inside the coffin, a red lotus, the diary, and a woman with the surname Luo. They were all related to the 9-leaf stage. All these clues pointed in the same direction, and that was to not attempt the 9-leaf stage. He could employ the help of others to investigate these matters, but who could investigate Konk's red energy? Red lotus, red energy. Could it be that there are people cultivating red energy and forming red lotuses in the world? Did Konk come from the same place as the coffin's owner? Inside the Evergreen Palace in the Imperial City, the divine capital. The study was heavily guarded. The internal attendant came to the study as always. Your Majesty, the results are out. The internal attendant did not sound confident. Come in. When the door was opened, the internal attendant felt a peculiar surge of heat wave. He nearly choked from it. Lu Gu sat on the floor with his legs crossed. Hot air was surging out of his body at this moment. The internal attendant dared not look at the emperor. He lowered his head at once and respectfully kneeled on the floor. The retired emperor brought Su Shang and Guiran to the Evil Sky Pavilion. It's been confirmed that they have all fallen in battle. After the internal attendant finished speaking, he prostrated himself on the ground, not daring to move. A moment later, Lu Gu opened his eyes. Contrary to expectations, he did not lash out furiously. He merely said tonelessly, "I see." The internal attendant was confused. Were they not father and son? How could the emperor remain unaffected by the retired emperor's demise in battle? He could only entertain these thoughts in his mind. He would not be so bold as to give voice to them. Seeing that the emperor was not angry, he said tentatively, "Your Majesty, the officials have presented a collective memorial. Currently, only Yan Province and Ji Province haven't been conquered by the Nether Sect. It seems likely that the Nether Sect's forces will surround the divine capital soon. The officials wish to invite Your Majesty to the imperial court and discuss countermeasures." Upon hearing this, Lu Gu said indifferently, "What do I have to discuss with a bunch of trash about the things I want to do? This is my decree. The crown prince will lead an army. He may pick anyone from the 8 great generals. Tell Wei Zhuoyan to give up on the border's garrison and attack Liang province. Tell the divine capital's imperial guard to strengthen their defenses. Nobody else is to be allowed into the imperial city. If there are uninvited guests, they are to be killed without exception." The internal attendant shuddered and dared not ask any more questions. He hastily said, "Understood." Then, he rose to his feet and respectfully left the study. At this moment, Lu Gu opened his eyes again. He flipped his palm. Whiz. An avatar materialized above his palm. There was no golden lotus. Only 7 blades of leaves could be seen spinning around it. The 7 leaves were bright and lush. He clenched his fist. Lu Gu nodded in satisfaction. "I'm almost back at the 8-leaf stage, and the 9-leaf stage is almost at hand. Why would I need to fear the Nether Sect or the Evil Sky Pavilion?" He raised his hand. The magistrate brush hovered in the air. The hair of the brush was white, but the tips were red. The red looked extremely glaring under the illumination from his primal chi. Soon enough, the hairs of the brush sank into the ink and turned black. The general's mansion in Yu province. Hua Chongyang carried sheets of information and entered. "Sect Master, Mr. 7th, the results of the investigation are out. Yan province's main city is guarded by General Ma Lupeng. He's one of the 8 great generals of the Imperial Guard, the general of the Southeastern Gate." Yu Zhenghai laughed when he heard this. "Indeed, the imperial family is out of options. Your plan of surrounding the divine capital is splendid, wise brother." Si Wuya said, "The imperial family has no other choice. If they didn't send anyone to defend the city, it would only expedite their demise. Even if they did, without its 8 great generals, the divine capital doesn't amount to much." Hua Chongyang said, "You're right, Mr. 7th. Of the 8 great generals, Han Yuyuan, Xiang Lai, Guiran, Wen Shu, and Su Sheng have died in battle. Ji Qingqing, who was Han Yuan's replacement, has disappeared. As of now, only Wang Yu, Xian Jingyun, and Ma Luping are left. She fled? Si Wuya frowned. He had always thought about things differently than Yu Zhenghai. He viewed these seemingly insignificant details with more importance. Ji Qingqing is the only female general of the 8 great generals. It's rumored that she was on the mysterious elite's hit list and fled overnight out of fear. Yu Zhenghai and Si Wuya remembered the sight they saw when they attacked Yu province on the flying chariot. The mysterious elite is only at the 5-leaf stage. How could he do anything to Ji Qingqing? Yu Zhenghai wondered out loud. I don't know. Wise brother, could this mysterious elite come from the imperial family? Unlikely. This elite is elusive. He doesn't behave like a 5-leaf cultivator. Perhaps, he lowered his avatar's strength on purpose the other day, Si Wuya replied. Yu Zhenghai frowned slightly. He remembered what Ming Shirin had said, Yu Shangrong was in Yu province. If that's true, why is he helping me? Old second, oh, old second. My archenemy for life is giving me a hand? Impossible. At this moment, the Nether Sect disciples rushed into the palace and said, Sect Master, Mr. 7th, things are not looking good. Yan province's main city has activated its main formation and closed itself off. What's the reason for this? Si Wuya asked. To capture someone. It's said that they've found the mysterious elite,